Welcome to the forest where Rome's swagger went to die. Autumn 9 CE, 3 Roman legions marched in expecting routine pacification and tax collection. Instead, they walked into one of history's nastiest ambushes, planned by a man they trusted. For Rome, Germania was supposed to become just another taxable province, with roads, orders, and paperwork nobody enjoys. The Rhine had been a boundary, but Roman commanders pushed deep beyond it, aiming to lock the region down for good. Meet Arminius, Cheruscan noble, Roman-trained, Roman citizen, and officially a Roman ally. He knew how Rome thought, how Rome marched, and crucially, how Rome underestimated people it called barbarians. He smiled in Latin and plotted in Germanic. And here's Varus, governor and commander of legions 17, 18, and 19. Capable administrator, confident commander, not exactly a trust-no-one-in-a-swamp kind of guy. He was running governance mode in a place that was about to switch to survival mode. This wasn't a neat battle line, it was a stretched-out column with soldiers, support staff, baggage, and animals, great for logistics, terrible for sudden violence. In the woods, that kind of length turns strength into traffic jam with swords. Varus got warnings that Arminius might be planning betrayal. He ignored them. Because if your trusted scout says there's a rebellion nearby, obviously you detour into hostile terrain in bad weather with your entire column. What could possibly go wrong? Arminius asked permission to leave the Roman column and gather allies. Varus approved. In modern terms, Rome handed the enemy organizer a hall pass, a timetable, and GPS access to the convoy. Roman sources describe a multi-day disaster. The most famous reconstruction places a key phase near a narrow passage by Kalkriese, high ground on one side, bog on the other. Perfect ambush terrain, terrible maneuver terrain. The attack didn't begin with glorious trumpet fanfare. It began with chaos, missiles from hidden positions, panic in the column, units unable to form properly, and everybody suddenly realizing the forest had opinions. Rain and wind shredded Roman effectiveness. Their doctrine loved order, open space, and tight formations. The forest offered mud, confusion, and surprise from every angle. Rome's machine was built for roads, not for ambush geometry. This wasn't just random tribal rage. Evidence points to prepared defenses and planned kill zones. Arminius and his coalition used terrain plus pre-built positions to grind down a force that couldn't deploy at full strength. Day after day, the Romans tried to regroup, march, and survive. But renewed attacks, collapsing cohesion, and rising tribal momentum turned retreat into disintegration. A campaign became a slow-motion military nightmare. By the end, defeat was unavoidable. Ancient accounts say Varus chose suicide over capture, and many officers followed. The command structure collapsed right as the battlefield closed in. The result was annihilation scale. 3 legions were destroyed, standards lost, and survivors were few. For Rome, this wasn't a bad day at the office. It was a strategic shock that echoed all the way to the imperial palace. The story goes that Augustus mourned deeply and cried, "Quinctilius Varus, give me back my legions." Whether you hear grief, rage, or disbelief, the message is clear. Rome got punched in the myth of its own invincibility. Rome retaliated, but policy changed. Instead of permanently absorbing Germania east of the Rhine, imperial strategy leaned toward punishing expeditions and fortified borders. Expansion gave way to containment. Later campaigns under Germanicus struck back hard.
recovered at least one lost eagle, and buried the dead at the old killing ground. Rome could avenge, yes, but ruling that terrain long-term was another matter entirely. Fast forward 2 millennia, and archaeology keeps filling in the story. Finds around Kalkriese, weapon fragments, armor pieces, sling stones, mask fragments, everyday gear support the picture of a large, brutal engagement in constrained terrain. What makes Teutoburg unforgettable isn't just betrayal, it's systems failure. Wrong assumptions, wrong route, wrong weather, wrong battlefield. Arminius combined intelligence, engineering, and timing into a masterclass in asymmetric warfare. So that's Teutoburg, where an empire learned that maps are not territory, allies are not always loyal, and arrogance is not armor. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Was this Rome's worst strategic blunder, or just its most cinematic one?